You mentioned a couple of times in this interview Obama, then a Senator Obama who went on to be President Obama 2 terms. What's your relationship like with him today?
I don't have one. I mean, it was. I mean, look, here's the deal. Obama didn't like black criticism. He didn't like black criticism. He didn't like it at all. He didn't like it when he was a state senator, when he was a U.S. senator. I remember when then State Senator Reverend James Meeks, pastor of Salem Baptist Church, got into a confrontation with a cop, and it was a huge story all over Chicago. And all the other members of Congress talked about it in Chicago. Obama didn't. So I remember writing an editorial in the Chicago Defender lambasting him. Man, he called me the next day, livid, hot. And I was like, but did you call him? Oh, well, I was letting other members of Congress because, when I speak, I get all the attention. And I was like, but did you call him? Did you call and check on him? He hadn't. I knew he hadn't. I had talked to Reverend James Meeks. And so I called him out. He called him after the call line. People like, damn, dog, you call out Senator Obama? Yes. Ain't nobody beyond getting hit. Nobody. So I remember when he became president, I wrote a column blasting the lack of black people in his press office. And I remember Valerie Jarrett called me, and she was like, I left the Oval Office. The president, he's upset. I'm like, why are you mad? Because Robert Gibbs came in waving your column, and the president saw it. He said, attack on his press office is attack on him. I was like, okay. She's like, what should we do? I said, go tell them to hire some more black people. She was like, I said, Valerie, let me ask you a question. Did I not tell you during the campaign that if your press office is as white as your campaign staff, we would have a problem? Yes. Did I tell you I would call y'all out? Yes. Why are you calling me? I did exactly what I told you I was going to do. I said, tell the president to go hire some more black people. That was the conversation. So the big thing for me is I'm going to be true to who I am. I'm going to rep black people. I'm going to fight for black people. I'm going to fight for black-owned media. So I was doing exactly what I was supposed to do. I was not there to be friends with President Obama. I wasn't there to be friends with First Lady Michelle Obama. I was there to cover the presidency, and I was going to be advocating on behalf of black folks. When I was advocating hard for him to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court after Justice Antonin Scalia died, I was hardcore with it, and I did not care. As a matter of fact, when I wrote a column when he appointed Justice Elaine Kagan, and I blasted on CNN.com. Remember, Anita Dunn stopped me outside of the White House and was upset with me, and I was like, Anita, what do you think I do? I said, I don't work for him. I work for my audience. I'm representing my audience. I said, so I don't care if y'all are upset. So I got one interview with Obama when he was president and First Lady. It was in 2009, 2010.
Is that the interviews you got the 2 NAACP?
No, I got those during the campaign. So that was so when he was running, I got those.
So you got the Image Awards for those.
I won TV1's first 2 Image Awards.
Yep.
For those interviews. We never got an exit interview. And the one I probably was the most disappointed on was First Lady Michelle Obama, because she personally told me in 2015 at Congressional Black Caucus Foundation AOC, we're on the rope line, and she says, Roland, she says, I want you to know you're on my list. You and I are going to sit down again before we get out of here. I was like, all right, bet. Okay. So I sent Tina Chin, her chief of staff, an email. And at that Christmas party in 2015, Tina said, you probably were asking her about it. I was like, no, actually, I wasn't. She volunteered it. I didn't say anything. So 2016, we were on a rope line, same dinner. And I think my wife or one of my nieces were there. So I had one of my small little cameras. And at first, she says it again. This time I got it on video. So I sent Tina an email. I said, she did it again. And she said, you and I are going to sit down again before we get out of here. So that was September 2016. I remember sending emails to her staff in October and November. And they were like, sorry, we just don't have the time. And I was like, I'm sorry, this was her idea. This was hers. And it never happened. That probably was the most disappointed one of my 8 years of the Obama presidency. because Michelle Obama promised 2 consecutive years to me, without any prompting, without me asking, that she and I were going to sit down and do an interview, and it never happened. And I was extremely disappointed. And I remember I told a number of people, including Attorney General Eric Holder, that I was disappointed by that, because I felt, and I still feel, it was important for them leaving to sit down and do exit interviews with Black-owned media. And I don't think anybody did. I think the only person who got, Ta-Nehisi Coates had 4 or 5 interviews for the PCD in the Atlantic with Obama. I don't think that was a sit down interview with Black-owned media by President Obama or First Lady Michelle Obama. And so yeah, that was probably the most disappointing, because literally she told me 2 consecutive years, we are sitting down. I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. It never happened. So I never got it. And look, here's the deal. I say this publicly. I never got invited to the birthday parties, the last black party. People were texting me from the party like, dude, where you at? I didn't get invited, but I wasn't tripping, because here's the deal. I knew what my job was. So it wasn't like, oh man, I ain't get invited to the private birthday parties. I wasn't there to be friends. I was there covering the administration. And so since he left office, I haven't had the only time I've even seen either one of them, Michelle Obama did Essence with Gayle King, and I didn't see it because I was backstage chopping up with Nas in the dressing room while she was on stage. And when they pushed even though we had backstage credentials, the Secret Service pushed all of us back. And I remember she was coming off stage, and I yelled to her, hello. And then she looked up and she goes, where's the ascot? Because I had one of my African outfits on. And I sent word to one of her staffers I would love just to say hello to her, whatever. But she eventually left. I never got a chance to. So my job, and again, this ain't about friendship. My job was to cover, and that's what it was. My job was to cover those 8 years of the presidency. And I think a lot of times people lose sight of why they're there. I wasn't there to be buddy-buddy with the first black president. I was there to cover the 44th president.